today we have Daniel Pusilo with Ace of Clubs Golf Company. Um, Super excited to have Dan on. This place is incredible. I've seen a short piece of your company coming from the basement of where we're currently at now
Yeah.
up until now. Um, and I can tell you if this company doesn't work out for you, you can be an interior designer. I'll hire you personally. But this
Thanks.
place looks awesome. I can tell you take great pride in what you do, which speaks for your products in general. So I'll let you take it from there, Dan. What is Ace of Clubs Golf Company, and what is it you guys do? And I say you guys, it might just be you, but tell people about yourself.
Sure. Yeah. Well, thanks for having
Yeah,
me
yeah, no
on the
problem.
show. But is this a show?
Yeah, it's my show.
It's a show. Okay. So we make custom leather golf accessories. Always have. So I wanted to, at the beginning, start off with making something that was high quality, unique, but that every golfer can afford.
Hmm.
And that's relative for golfers,
Yes.
right? I mean, it's golf is not a necessity,
Hmm.
and golf is generally something people spend a lot of money on,
Hmm.
and it costs a lot of money to play the game, equipment, accessories,
Hmm.
green fees, you name it.
Right, right.
So yeah, at the beginning, I wanted to set out and just make unique stuff that was high quality that every person could afford. And I tried to maintain that ever since we started in 2012.
Hmm.
That was when I founded and started the company. Obviously, we weren't at this point then, so I was just working out of my house
Yeah.
and have been really up until the last couple of years when you saw me in the basement. This is much
We had to
nicer
check on you, make
space.
sure you were okay at
Yeah,
times.
I'm glad somebody was. Sometimes I wasn't okay. So me and a space heater,
Yeah, I've
no
worked in the basement
windows.
before. It can be pretty dark down there.
So this is much better.
Yeah,
This is
no.
great.
Yeah, I bet.
And so it's been nice to have the support of the community and friends and to get me set up in the space that I'm in and to get it in the place that it's in now, even though you see like all this stuff. Like it's had a lot of help
Yeah, yeah,
getting it here and
absolutely.
dialed in and still a little work in progress, but we're getting there. Hopefully open soon. And
Yeah. No, it looks awesome in here, and you're very well known in the golf business. I mean, that's how we met, right? Like just by
sure
playing
was,
golf
yeah.
and getting to meet you and buying your products. I'm wearing a belt right now that you made for me. So, the quality it speaks for itself. But um, take me through that journey. Starting in 2012. How did you get to here? Because rent space cost goes up and things like that. So was it just by word of mouth? Because I know you do some marketing, but I I feel like a lot of companies, when they start the right way, they start organically by referrals or friends or
Yeah,
relationships you currently have. So take me through
absolutely.
2012 to currently where you're at today.
Yeah, it's a great question about the organic growth. To go kind of circle back at the start of that in 2012, I had no idea what this was going to
Right,
be. It
right.
was a part-time thing while I was working in the golf business as a PGA professional.
Hmm.
So when I started, I had no grand plans of starting a brand or a company. It was just simply creating things I wanted and couldn't find in the marketplace, or
Hmm.
couldn't find in the marketplace for the price I wanted to pay.
Right, right, right.
So I had found a couple like items that were very extravagantly priced, and I feel like it priced the majority of golfers or someone looking for something unique out of the market.
Hmm.
And so that's something that I did not like when I kind of delved into that world. But as the more research that I did, I found out how it was easy to source, or how the process works, where we were able to source, or you're able to source materials, leathers, different styles of leather, and create things that are unique for the marketplace.
Hmm.
So for instance, I started with putter grips,
Hmm.
just making putter grips, selling them on eBay. I had a couple other side hustles that I was instituting at the time. I was a PGA professional, and I was kind of transitioning out of that world.
Hmm. You're a PGA pro, but now you're starting to see something in the marketplace where um, you're just noticing something's not there, and you want to step in and try and implement that or find a
Yeah,
solution. Really, is what you're looking to do.
yeah. So again, it was really no like grand plan to start a
Hmm.
business or a brand. It was
Hmm.
way before Instagram and all
Hmm.
social media took
Right.
over, where you see brands popping up all over the place
Hmm.
now.
Yeah.
So this very much did start organically
Hmm.
by me selling putter grips on eBay, and then making matching putter covers to sell on eBay.
Hmm.
And a couple years later, I gave it a shot, giving it a run
Mm-hmm.
full-time, my
Right.
full-time gig. So ever since 2014, that's when I've been doing this full-time.
Okay.
Launched the website. Along the way, I've had the privilege to get to know players like
Yeah.
this person here
Mm-hmm.
and make bags for them and their friends and their corporations that sponsor them, as well as local companies, and build
Mm-hmm.
those relationships very much organically. Up until the last couple of years, I've kind of upped the efforts for like social media
Yeah.
marketing and Google marketing to kind of pour some gasoline on the fire, and
Right.
it's
Right.
done so.
Mm-hmm.
But as your costs go up in that arena, like so does all your other costs.
Correct.
So it's been great. It's been a fun ride,
Yeah.
and it's grown a lot. It also does get your name out there.
Yeah.
So I come in contact with people like him, and
Mm-hmm.
we're able to work with other players that he knows and friends, and so it's been really exciting and fun.
Right.
I never thought in a million years that I'd be going to golf tournaments and seeing these players play,
Right.
and then 5-6 years later I'm actually having conversations
Right.
with them
Right.
and making things for them, and going to their birthday parties. And so it's been a fun ride, and nothing I could have ever.
Yeah.
It's exceeded my wildest expectations.
No,
for sure.
that's totally cool, man. And I can't even imagine what it's like to start something like that. Like you said, flipping things on eBay, or you've always had that little bit of hustle in you, but like
Apparently, I never knew it until
you don't know it because you enjoy
you
it,
start
right?
looking for cash.
You're probably having fun. You need a little money, but then you make those first flips, or you sell something for something, and like it goes like that. And you're like, am I charging enough? Should I charge more? Like
Yeah, you start
you
thinking
start
about those
figuring
problems.
out business. Like people go
Yeah.
to business school for this stuff, and they're like, oh, well, you just figure it out, right? I mean, I think you did go to school for business, right?
I did,
Yeah.
but nothing could have ever prepared me
Yeah,
for
right.
this. I mean, business is so, it depends on what type of business you're in. It's very specific. So even if you go to school for marketing, which I did, and marketing's changed so much since I was in school. My favorite classes at school were my marketing classes, obviously. Everything else was kind of bullshit.
Yeah.
Can you cuss?
Yeah, you can cuss. You can say
Okay.
whatever you want.
But my favorite classes were my marketing classes, where we would get together and just talk about, hey, everyone just watched the Super Bowl. It's coming up here.
Yeah, yeah.
What were your favorite commercials during the Super Bowl? What were they trying to say? And we would just spend all class talking about this stuff, and then thinking about different things that we would do. And so that kind of got my mind thinking differently about business in general. I never really understood it until I started studying it. But the core concepts are pretty much the same. Marketing and how you tell people about your business will always continue to evolve, and has evolved a lot since I started this
Platforms, yeah.
to today, because it's been almost 11 years since I started. Social media has really changed the game. Now artificial intelligence is getting involved, and going to continue. I think that will be the next evolution.
I agree.
So it really got me thinking more about business, but not quite in an entrepreneurial mindset. I didn't have any entrepreneurial classes in school, but as soon as I graduated and started working at a country club, I immediately opened up an eBay store for the club, so we could liquidate things that were sale items, and we could have that extra channel, a sales channel, to get rid of things so we could get rid of that stuff and bring in new stuff for all the members, to make the country club experience so much more enjoyable for them. So that was my first kind of, I guess, entrepreneurial pursuit. It's hard to, stay up to date within like just a curriculum of business school.
Oh yeah, yeah.
So yeah, everything I've learned pretty much that applies to my business is stuff I've had to learn off the cuff, like as I go, kind of cross that bridge when you get there. So
like what goes into making a head cover like this? Do you work with suppliers and kind of have relationships with them, or?
I do, yeah. From day one, I've always started with trying to match up with like really good suppliers. Leather side for me, I mean, my leather suppliers are really good, and over the last 10 years, we've had an opportunity to dial it in, kind of get on board as the business has grown, as we've gotten further along. I've been able to share kind of my vision with them, because as anyone who knows tries to start manufacturing overseas or not in the United States, there's a lot of minimum order quantities. There's a lot of trial and error. It's very expensive. So I'm lucky to have partnered with a couple smaller factories over there, which I own now, and they were able to kind of grow with me.
Okay.
So I kind of laid that out to them and said, this is my plan. I don't know what this is going to be,
right,
but this is kind of my idea where I'd like it to be. And along the way, I know we're going to have um, you know, growing pains,
Yeah, yeah,
because
right.
I just don't have the money to
Hmm.
lay out to order like 100 head covers.
Right, right.
So from the very beginning, though, I designed everything. I would
Hmm.
source the leather. I would deliver it to my factories where they do all the cut and sew.
Hmm.
So unfortunately, like I don't know how to make a lot of the things that you see before you,
But
but
you've done the hard work for the
I
people and found the good product
yes,
and been
yeah,
through the trials
I
and
bring
tribulations
bring
of
people
doing
together,
that.
and
Yeah.
everybody, it's worked out great this way because
Hmm.
then the product gets delivered and then I take it from there and do
Hmm.
everything else.
Right. Like the
So,
custom stuff, like you see,
absolutely.
embroidery
Yes,
on
all the
top.
embroidery and the laser engraving,
Hmm.
customization stuff, that's all done in house here
Yeah.
in Wyandotte, Michigan.
Hmm.
So everything's done here, everything's marketed here, the product photography is
Hmm.
done here, all the marketing.
Yeah. And I think you're like we talked about earlier. You're well known in the golf industry, but for all you moms, girlfriends, aunts, cousins, uncles, if you're looking for an awesome, Father's Day gift, if you get something with this, with your kid's name or whatever it might be, maybe their country club that they're a member of, you could throw this stuff on there, and
Yeah.
I guarantee you they will be happy with the product, or make them a bag. you
1-800
know.
number right here.
So, how did you get into golf? Like, what sparked your interest in being a part of the game? And as a young kid, how did that come about?
Yeah, I had no upbringing in the game of golf. I have no family members or siblings or anything
Hmm.
that played. But I was 9 years old and I was on vacation at Hot Springs, Arkansas, which is
Hmm.
where my grandpa retired to after working for 40 years with Ford.
Hmm.
And he found a set of golf clubs, some old 100-year-old set with wooden shafts in the trash. Being the man from Detroit, Dearborn, who
Yeah.
worked at Ford, he picked them out of the trash and we
Hmm.
went to the driving range. And my brother and I would hit golf balls. And my brother wanted nothing to do with it, like right away. But I was already hooked. Like
Hmm.
first ball you connect with that goes, you just
Yeah.
like you want to chase
Yeah.
that
You just want to
again. So I
whack it
was
again.
hooked instantly. And so when I returned from the vacation, I tried to do what I could around the house
Hmm.
to save up. I'm only 9 years old, so I
Right.
mean,
Right.
not much I can do, but I did what I could to kind of earn some money
Yeah.
to buy my first set of golf clubs. That was ended up being like a Betty Jameson.
Oh, nice.
Still remember the set of golf clubs. They had blue wooden heads on them and blue grips, and they were shorter than men's
Oh
clubs.
yeah. Yeah. Cut them down for
So
you.
yeah,
Yeah.
so I used to hit wiffle ball around the house, around the yard, both ways, and would find real golf balls and go across the street to a field at a
Hmm.
school nearby and hit those until I lost them,
Uh-huh.
and then just wait till I collected more. But no one in my house played golf, so it was kind of an interesting scenario that I would end up with this kind of as my life
Right.
because
Right.
I love it, but
Yeah.
I try to drag my family and friends into the golf world by it's always on TV
Right.
or
Right.
I'm always down to talk about it. I'm a
Hmm.
golf nerd. I can nerd on
Right.
about on
Right.
golf.
Right.
So
Well, when you were young, not only just growing up with golf, but like, did you start working at a young age? Like me personally, I
I
think I started
did.
working at like 13, 14,
Yeah, I think
working
I
at
was
Jerry's down the
14.
store. What did you do?
Yeah, I made pizza.
That's
Yeah, at
awesome.
Iggy's Pizza in
Yeah.
Woodhaven,
Oh yeah.
Michigan.
Yeah.
Still
Yeah.
there.
Yeah. Still there. Yeah.
So
I
I
drive
worked
by.
for $3.50 an hour under the table. So came home every night that I
But
worked
I think when you
smelling
start
like
working
pizza
at a
dough.
young age, you figure out a lot of things. Like I delivered newspapers. I mean, I did it all, man. Like I'd sell something on the corner
Learn the
and
value
just,
of a dollar for
yeah, you learn
sure.
the value of a dollar. You learn what it takes to earn something.
Yeah,
You start to think about markets and how they work, and it's really cool. And I think when I talk to people that have their own small businesses, they're always thinking of what to do next, or
oh yeah.
I think you had a young part in your professional career using eBay. I mean, people were using it, but you used it to just you only have an audience that comes into that golf shop every day, right?
Hmm.
And they're going to see the same thing every day, and they might see it, and one day they might buy it. But when you can take it to a whole audience of people that you don't even know,
Oh yeah, all
that
over
just
the
creates
world.
a huge market for you. And I'm sure you sell these things all over the world, right?
I do. Yeah, I do. I sell these all over the world. I
And
mean, it's majority in the United States, still about 85%. But
mhm,
yeah, I have a lot of international sales, and I think the biggest hindrance of that is a lack of wholesalers over
mhm,
or accounts
mhm,
overseas, and just the shipping costs
mhm,
have risen dramatically over the last few years after
mhm,
COVID. So it used to sell a lot more internationally, and now it's been a little restricted. But
mhm.
taxes, duties,
Yeah, yeah.
customs departments have really gotten in and made it really cost
Difficult.
prohibitive to buy anything from another country.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Yeah,
If you're shopping from another country, shopping in the United States online.
I gotcha.
But back then, eBay was the largest online
Hmm.
marketplace.
Yeah, no,
And then
totally.
a little company called Amazon was kind of coming on its heels at that point. So I started selling also on Amazon. So I would
Hmm.
sell all my grips
You
and
still sell
head
on
covers.
Amazon?
I don't know.
Hmm.
2014, again, you're talking about thinking entrepreneurially.
Hmm.
Like, why would I pay anybody 18-20% per transaction when I
Right.
can just start funneling everyone
Hmm.
and using my own marketing
Hmm.
to my own website? So
Yeah.
that's when I started my own website,
Hmm.
started doing this full time.
Hmm.
And then it just kind of grew organically over the next 5 or 6 years. And then I started getting more seriously about marketing and
Hmm.
working with other people that would, help grow my business.
Now, those first 5 years, I mean, sometimes businesses just take off and you don't even have time to catch up, right? Like it just can flip like that. It happened with me in the mortgage business.
Hmm.
Like I didn't do a whole lot my first year and then boom,
Yeah, you
like
guys have been busy.
like my business just took off. So like I just had to learn. But do you feel like you couldn't have scaled appropriately if you didn't take those first 5 years to kind of, figure out a lot of things? Because when you're starting a new business, it takes time. But like, let's say year two,
Possibly.
things could have taken off. Like,
Hmm.
do you think you would have been ready for it, or do you think it took you those 5 years to try and get there?
I've always had like a huge fear of failure.
Hmm.
So I've always been a late. I'll think about it, and then it
Think
takes me
about
a
it when you need to
while to
think
get
about
around
it.
to it.
Yeah.
Yeah, just because I've had such a huge fear of failure, getting over that in my
Hmm.
life.
Hmm.
And over the last 3 or 4 years of my life, I've had a lot of things happen in my life, or a lot of different lifestyle changes,
Hmm.
and my life just has looked very differently from how it did 4 or 5 years ago.
Hmm.
So that, I think, has really helped grow me to push past those boundaries
Hmm.
of failure. Is actually a huge opportunity to
I agree.
learn.
Hmm.
And no one ever learns anything from success. So
Hmm.
when I'm going along and there's possibility to grow or do this to scale, and
Hmm.
I would not take that opportunity because I was just fine with just
Hmm.
going with the flow.
Yeah.
So whenever you try to start something different, you don't know what the results are going to be. You
Hmm.
have hopes and plans, but
Right.
so that has been one of the biggest teachers of mine is failure and
Yeah.
mistakes. So if I could have grown and scaled 2 years into it, probably
Hmm.
I could have got a lot more aggressive with it, and I would have failed faster.
Hmm.
And I don't know if I'd be here today,
Right. Right. Right.
but I mean, the adopted thing for me is to fail and fail fast and
Yeah.
fail often, because those are the things that really teach you those lessons that help you build and grow forward.
Oh yeah.
Hopefully the failures aren't big enough where you're able to still continue to fail,
Oh
to
totally.
advance whatever pursuit you're in.
I
But
literally got goosebumps from you saying that, Dan. Because like I think oftentimes people in life just say, "Hey, I failed." Like, woe is me. And don't get me wrong. There's a part of that when
yeah,
that does happen to
misery
you.
loves company.
But you do have to take a step back. My heart's still beating. I'm still alive. Let's
Yeah,
move
I'm still
forward.
here.
Let's learn from it,
Yeah,
and just overcome it. Because a lot of people can find themselves in that rabbit hole of like, man, I screwed up. Like I'm not doing as well as I
absolutely.
want. But like you said, just looking back on that and reflecting on it and learning from it, and you saying like you were afraid of failure, like, but
Absolutely terrified.
do you feel like now some
Public
people like
speaking,
failure?
failure. Failure of public speaking,
Yeah,
that's the absolute
yeah,
worst.
yeah,
But public speaking and failure are like my two worst fears for a long, long time.
yeah. No, totally. That's a huge part of why I'm doing this. Right? Is like you have had some failures or some trials and
Oh,
tribulations through
absolutely.
owning Asa Club. So take
Yeah.
me through like maybe one of the biggest ones, or maybe something that was medium that held you back for a little bit. Like you said, you just started, getting into that social media space.
Hmm.
Was that just a struggle to try and figure out how to get there, or just speak a little bit to the tough times of Asa
Yeah.
Clubs?
Yeah. So the tough times were trying to figure out like where to go with this. What
Hmm.
do I do with it? What is this? Is this, even though I was doing it full time, is
Hmm.
this sustainable as a full time business? And the longer I went on, the more that question kind of lingered, and the less time I spent addressing it.
Hmm.
It was kind of avoidance because of the failure thing.
Hmm.
So I just kept going on, growing,
Hmm.
but it was growing at a pace I wasn't using social media.
Hmm.
I was advertising on a site called My Golf Spy,
Hmm.
and I was doing a feature for them. It was a member of the month they would do, and they would get a free head cover from me. And I did that with them every month for 3 years, and that
Hmm.
was the only advertising I would do. So towards the tail end of that, I guess I would say, I started realizing that for the same amount of money, I could be advertising on Facebook
Hmm.
and creating my own ads, learning how to do that, which
Hmm.
I have people that do that for me now because that is a full-time job in itself.
Totally.
So I'd say one of the biggest failure, mistake, like learning moments for me as a small business owner is removing myself as the bottleneck. Because as I was bootstrapping my business, I was always doing things, learning how to do things for myself. So I didn't know if this thing was going to work. So I didn't want to pay a product photographer $50 a photo to shoot. So I bought a light box and a camera, had someone who knew anything about cameras to set it up, and I wouldn't change the settings, and I would shoot my photos, and I would learn how to use them on Photoshop, edit them, get them up on the website looking as good as I could make them look. And, you know, same thing, Shopify. I didn't know anything about website design, so I went with Shopify, who's been a huge partner of mine ever since I started, and they've grown a lot also in the time that since I've started with them.
So instead of taking all of the pressure on you, you started to delegate
Absolutely
a little bit more of let you flourish where you can in design and stuff like that.
Then I can do what I do best, and then give my marketing tax to a marketing company that do what they do best. And if they don't, then I go look for someone else.
Right.
But I'm trying, and I have been for a number of years, to remove myself as that bottleneck where something can't move forward unless I have time to do it. Because as the business has grown, the less time I have, less free time, the less, I mean, those jobs I mentioned, the product photography, I mean, that is intensive time, very time intensive.
Totally.
So to remove that off my plate, for instance, I mean, that would free up 4, 5, 6 hours a week that I can then spend on building the business and getting more sales and going to meet with wholesalers or corporations or going out on tour and events with these guys and just telling them about what I do.
Yeah. So relationship building is huge within a company. You obviously have good relationships here with this bag. How did that start? And how'd you get out with these tour bags and working with guys at the highest level?
Yeah, it was just going back to ways that we could grow the company. Ways to think, beyond marketing online. One of the things I do at the beginning of every year, sit down and think about what is the few things I could do, the biggest things that could move the needle.
Right.
And one I thought was to get on tour, because professional validation is like the best thing you can get.
Exposure you can get.
Absolutely. Right? Because then it grows organically within itself. So maybe they're not using it on tour because they're sponsored by a certain company. They're using it maybe at their home club. They get you to do their tea gifts for their member guests. They give them to their to their family members. And this guy's got a pretty cool family, extended family. So I've made a golf bag for his father-in-law, and I've made one for his wife. So nice. It just kind of grows from there. But at the beginning, I thought getting out on tour would be a great way. So I started researching how to get out on tour. I was living in Seattle at the time. The Boeing Classic was coming up, which is a Champions Tour event. Less crowd, less security, much easier to get access to the players for the champion. Those of you who don't know the Champions Tour, it is the old men over guys. 50 years old. So it's people that were great at one point, and still you can go kind of see your heroes.
Yeah,
your
still studs.
Still studs.
Yeah.
So I was out walking the range, kind of like not really knowing what to do, how to interact with these players. But beforehand, I had researched who was going to be there. And I had made some items for Fred Couples, who's from Seattle, as well as for a couple guys like Darren Clark, Chris DeMarco, who was their 50th birthdays coming up. So they was their first week on tour.
Cool.
And so I just would stop these guys on the way to the tee, and I would say, hey, I made this for you. And they would very, very generously give me a couple minutes of their time and discussed what I did and gave them like a special gift that was personalized.
And you gave them value already from the start with them not even knowing you.
Yes. Yeah. I gave them value. I would, Darren Clark had won the British Open a few years before. So I put like that logo, British Open champion this year, put his name on a yardage book cover. Loved it. Took a photo with me, and then gave some things to Fred Couples. I ended up meeting Tommy Armour, the third, somewhere out on the range, and his caddy came to approach me, and he was in a golf cart and said, hey, are you the leather guy? And this was, I'd probably been at the event maybe 3 hours, so I guess I was feeling a little more comfortable now, and somehow word had gotten around. And so he came, picked me up on the back of a golf cart, took me to the equipment trailer, where I met Tommy Armour, the third, who proceeded to buy a few belts off of me and discuss like what I did, what I could do. And so I had a bunch of requests at the end of the day to come back and bring back custom items the next day. So I'd go home and work, make these things, bring them back the next day, and then get
Cool.
some more orders, and
Uh-huh.
then I stay in touch with these guys, but they would help me, you know, grow the business through other relationships. All these guys have home clubs that they belong to, if not multiple,
Right.
and they have corporates, sponsors that are into all kinds of different promotional items, and they know other golfers.
Right. Right.
So these guys, specifically Tommy Armour, he's like kind of the Johnny Cash of golf.
Nice.
Like he kind of transcends golf. He hangs out with actors, and he's a big Casamigos tequila guy.
Gotcha.
He belongs in that world, so he hangs out with George Clooney and all these people that show up to those parties. So I got to go to his 60th birthday in Beverly Hills, which is, I kind of invited myself. He let me know about it. Probably
I would try to do that myself.
Absolutely. So probably didn't think I would show up, but
right.
I was there. And so I was able to, you know, be at the bar with like Brett Hull, and I met George Gankis, who's a really famous golf instructor, and, you know, Jesper Parna. A lot of these older guys were there, and it's a really cool place at this mansion on top of Beverly Hills. So it's actually the Big Lebowski house.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So it was really cool to go to that, meet these people. So like just knowing him, having that conversation with him that one day turned into me going to his birthday party with his like closest friends, which I obviously am not, but would like to consider myself to be.
You're in the network, man.
I got in the network, yeah. And so now I do a lot of work with the company he's a brand ambassador for, which is Discovery Land Company, which owns 25 properties around the world, very high-end exclusive places like Madison Club, Summit Club, Yellowstone Club, Troubadour, and all these companies have brand ambassadors that I now work with, and I make golf bags and golf equipment for these golf shops. And all these places have members that now know about me because, you know, I met Tommy Armour one day on the driving range.
What's next for Ace of Clubs, man? Where are you going? I know you've been dabbling in some social media marketing. How's that been going for you? And where do you see this place 5, 10, 15, 20 years from now?
Well, you're sitting in it.
Yeah.
Like this is kind of the next thing that I'm doing. I'm opening my first retail location. That'll be kind of a showroom, limited hours to start, and then we'll see how much we open it up. But it's right downtown Wyandotte, and I've got everything that we make for sale here, so people can come see, touch, feel all of these things. And I think that's the biggest hurdle when you're online is, number one, I get a lot of people just in forums like hearing this over and over about, can I trust this website? Because all these brands are popping up on social media. Is this company legit? Are they just looking to scam me?
Right.
So people can see that this is a business. We have an actual brick and mortar address now.
Right.
And people can come see and feel and touch and get things personalized on site. And they can see the bags that I make for these guys and do the same for them and with their company logos on it, which I do a lot for the guys around here, as you know.
Yeah, yeah.
And we've done a couple for Mitten. And,
absolutely.
You've done some hopefully do some more.
Yeah, you will. You will. Like I said, your product. I mean, I've played golf since the age of I think 7, 6, somewhere around there. So I've played it religiously. So like to get something custom, I've seen a lot of bad products. I'll tell you that that I've paid probably similar money to what even you charge. But like good product. I'm gonna say fantastic product. Great service. I've gotten to meet you, which has been awesome. But yeah, like there's nothing out there like it that I've seen, and I think it's cool to have a shop in here. People come in, and what are those hours going to look like? Do you have an idea? So we can let the people
probably
know.
Be 11 to 5, maybe 3 days a week to start. Maybe like Tuesday, Thursday, Friday.
Cool.
Something like that, and then we'll have a big grand opening celebration here. So I'm gonna throw a banger and we'll see.
Some cocktails, maybe?
Absolutely. Some cocktails, yeah, some cocktails for sure. And then some live music, and we'll have a couple other things, maybe some giveaways.
Cool.
I just want to kind of get into the community and let them know we're here. And they've been very supportive thus far. We'll probably do like a ribbon cutting, but it'll be a great place to shoot content and showcase online. And it'll just bring some legitimacy to the business, because up until now, we've just been an e-commerce brand. And it does have that kind of connotation in some people's minds that is this legitimate? Is this business legitimate? And what can I expect? So I think if people know where to find you, it kind of eases.
Yeah, absolutely. There's not some weird address associated with it. Now you got something solid. They can just come right in, hang out here, sit in these chairs, and you can show them all your products. But I appreciate your time, man. Thanks
Thanks
for
for
sitting
having
with
me.
me.
Appreciate it.
Keep doing what you're doing, and I can't wait to see what you do here in the future, man.
Me too.
It's gonna be fun.
Good luck with the show, man. This
Yeah,
was
yeah,
fun.
appreciate it. No, I hope it helps small
Can't
business
wait to
owners.
see
That's all I'm trying to do
how
here.
this looks and
Yeah,
see who else you get on here
yeah.
in the future.
Could be some big people. We might get big
I hope
businesses
so.
out here. Yeah, yeah, that would be cool.